Believe it or not, there was a time when the Gap was the place to be if you were in the know. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you definitely remember it. Those clean white store walls, the scent of fresh denim, the bold navy blue logo that screamed cool classic Americana. Gap wasn't just a clothing store, it was a cultural landmark. They set trends, they broke ground, and they were right there to ride the wave that was American denim. Once upon a time, every mall in America had at least one. A place where you could go and walk in and grab a hoodie and some jeans and walk out looking like you were in a commercial. From dressing generations of teens to defining what casual cool actually looked like, Gap was untouchable. But somewhere between the rise of fast fashion, celebrity collabs, and social media style, the brand that once ruled the malls of America began to lose its magic. Ever wonder how? Let's find out. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the rise and fall of Gap, from mall icon to forgotten brand. But before we get started, please, as always, take a second to stop and smash that like button. Liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos is the best way to help us continue to grow. But now that we got all that out of the way, let's dive into this story. The legend all begins in 1969, when a San Francisco couple, Don and Doris Fisher, had a simple problem. Don couldn't find jeans that fit the way he wanted. So instead of complaining, he opened his own store. They kicked around a few names. Don originally wanted to call it Pants and Disc, considering they were planning on selling jeans and records, but then Doris came in with a historic idea. She suggested, why not call it The Gap? You know, as in the generational gap. In the late 60s and early 70s, this really spoke to the culture at the time. All of the then young boomers were in full rebellion against their greatest generation parents and wanted to create something all their own. The generational gap then, as in all ages, even now, was a real thing. It started out as a simple concept. The shop sold Levi jeans and LP records. That's it. All catering towards the young, hip crowd of the late 60s. The Fishers didn't know it then, but they were tapping into something powerful. A generation of Americans who wanted clothes that felt casual, youthful, yet effortless. By the early 70s, Gap started creating its own line of basics. Jeans, t-shirts, and hoodies, and business exploded. Within a few years, Gap had stores all across California and was becoming the go-to brand for anyone who wanted to look laid back, but yet still put together. By the 80s, Gap had become the definition of American casual style. Under the leadership of Mickey Drexler, a marketing genius who would later become CEO, Gap streamlined its image. Gone were the Levi's and records. Now, it was all about Gap branded items. The look was clean, preppy, and timeless. Denim jackets, chinos, white tees, and button-ups. Gap continued to grow, both in terms of number of stores and in its product range. In 1983, Gap introduced the Banana Republic brand, targeting a more upscale and professional market. The year 1986 marked the inception of Gap Kids, a testament to Gap's commitment to offering a broad spectrum of clothing options. In the same year, Gap went public, trading on the New York Stock Exchange for the first time. Through clever marketing and consistent quality, Gap became the uniform of middle America. In the mall era, no weekend trip was complete without stopping by the Gap. It was the heartbeat of suburban cool. The 90s were the golden age for the Gap. Under Mickey Drexler's creative direction and with ad campaigns that were both minimal and unforgettable, Gap became a cultural icon. Those commercials, you know the ones. Bright white backgrounds, upbeat jazz or pop music, Models of every color and size dancing in khakis and denim. It was simple, happy, American optimism in a 30-second clip. Perfect representation of the 90s. By the mid-90s, Gap had over 2,000 stores worldwide. Sales were in the billions, and its sub-brands, Banana Republic and Old Navy, were thriving. But by the early 2000s, the cracks had begun to show. After years of explosive growth, Gap's style began to stagnate a bit. In 2010, Gap made one of the most infamous rebranding attempts in fashion history, a new logo. The modernized blue box logo lasted less than a week after the public outrage forced the company to go back to its classic navy design. Even worse, it became a victim of its own success. Its identity, clean, neutral, basics, was now everywhere and cheaper. Fast fashion giants like H&M, Zara, and Forever 21 began dominating the mall scene, offering trendier clothes at lower prices. Gap tried to fight back, launching new lines, experimenting with brighter colors, and even hiring celebrity designers, but nothing really stuck. However, Gap thought they had the perfect play up their sleeves. They planned to link up with one of the biggest celebrities and fashion icons alive at that time, Kanye West. By 2020, Kanye wasn't just a rapper, he was a fashion mogul. His Yeezy line with Adidas had reshaped sneaker culture and made him a billionaire. Kanye had a vision to bring high fashion minimalism to the masses, and Gap, the brand he grew up wearing as a kid in Chicago, seemed to be the perfect canvas. In June of 2020, Gap announced a 10-year partnership with Ye to create the Yeezy Gap line, a brand that would fuse Kanye's creative genius with Gap's accessibility. The news alone caused Gap's stock to jump over 40% in a single day. Everyone from fashion insiders to longtime Gap fans all wanted to see what this partnership would actually look like. The hype kicked off in 2021 with one single item, the Yeezy Gap Rounded Jacket, also known as the Blue Puffer. It was bold, it was futuristic, it sold out instantly online. The jacket didn't even have a zipper or a logo, just a sculpted shape and the promise of Kanye's design vision. It truly felt like the start of a new era for Gap. Next came Yeezy Gap Engineered by Balenciaga, a capsule that merged Kanye's aesthetic with Demna's dark, oversized minimalism. Hoodies, tees, and outerwear were sold in giant trash bags at Gap stores, a deliberate choice by Kanye to reflect the consumerism and chaos. I actually really liked the Kanye by Gap collab. Admittedly though, this was before I completely wrote Ye off for good for being a useful idiot nutbag, but at the time, I thought it looked good. I wanted one of the jackets, even though I never was able to get my hands on one. And some of the other stuff had potential too. But behind the scenes, things weren't going so smoothly. Kanye grew frustrated with Gap's slow rollout and corporate structure. He wanted Yeezy Gap stores. He wanted full creative control, but Gap wanted to play it safe. Kanye accused Gap of copying his designs, not opening stores as promised, and failing to meet deadlines. Gap executives, meanwhile, reportedly struggled to manage Kanye's unpredictable behavior and insane expectations. By 2022, things completely fell apart. Kanye went public with his frustrations, calling out Gap executives by name and announcing that he wanted out. Around the same time, the boy Ye was in the middle of an epic crash out. It seemed like every single day he was posting more and more nonsense in what seemed to be an attempt to completely ruin his career and legacy. Long story short, he eventually succeeded. Not to mention, Balenciaga was embroiled in controversy at the time as well. Gap stock fell yet again. Yeezy Gap's website was taken offline. The collaboration that started as a dream partnership ended up in monumental flames. Today, Gap is still around, but it's not the powerhouse that it once was. The brand that once defined American casual wear now struggles to find a place in a world dominated by streetwear, online resale, and fast fashion cycles. But make no mistake, Gap's legacy is huge. It taught the world that simple, clean designs could be powerful. It inspired entire generations of mall brands and minimalist designers. And vintage Gap pieces, especially the ones from the 90s, are making a quiet comeback in streetwear and thrift culture. Gap may have fallen from its throne, but its influence never really left. Because for so many people, Gap wasn't just a store. It was a memory. A time when fashion was simple, affordable, and undeniably American. So what happened to Gap isn't just a business story. It's a story about changing times. About how even the biggest names can lose their edge when they stop listening to the culture. I guess you can say they fell into the Gap. From the denim walls of 1969 to the Yeezy collab that never really was, Gap has had quite an expansive legacy. It's a reminder that fashion may fade, but great style, that never goes out of business. And for that reason, I think they deserve their flowers. But what do you think? Were you a fan of Gap back in the day? Would you still wear that stuff now? Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video and you enjoy content like this, then we hope you smash that like button already. Liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos is the only way to get the YouTube algorithms to notice us so that our channel can continue to grow. And if you want to be updated whenever we drop a new episode, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and then the notification bell. That way you can be dinged each time a new episode is released. And with all that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out until next time. Peace.